Hello and welcome. This is another video about vintage baseball cards. I'm here with my friend Chris from Missouri to talk about who wore it better for number 39. So there you go. How was that, Chris?
Well, there's something about you today, John. You just look prettier with that thing on,
All right.
and just beaming intelligence is what it looked like to me. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. We kind of had a fiasco the other day on our number 40, but and for those of you that didn't drop us and you're still paying attention to this, we're on number 39, and that is going to be fun. We're on number 39 of who wore it better. What do you think about? Was this one tough for you, John, to come up with?
Well, it was definitely easy at the top of the list. We do have a very recent Hall of Fame inductee, as well as one that was very deserving when he did get in years ago. So the top of the list was very easy. As far as coming up with other names, it's a little bit more interesting here. So I'm very curious to see your number 3 pick, as I'm sure you are mine, because I would say the number 3 pick on this video would have maybe not even made the video on 40. So
yeah, as far as the back of their baseball card reads, right? I mean,
exactly.
uh, there's there's just the higher the number, the high numbers kids didn't wear in high school, so they didn't, usually they all. And so when you bring your favorite number, it's usually a lower number. So I think as we get lower in the numbers, the amount of players that chose those numbers to wear in their career, the great ones it'll get harder for us to choose. Definitely.
I mean, they started from the get-go when they first initially gave numbers. It was just your number in the batting order in the starting lineup. So all the regular starters had the low numbers. So
true.
Yeah, it became a thing then where low numbers were associated with star players. So yeah. So
yeah, this I'm looking at this. I'm looking who I have written down, and this is going to be fun to talk about a few of these things. So, do you want me to go first again? How do you want to do
this? I can take a turn this time. So
okay, you're sitting in the driver's seat right there. So you tell me. You
okay?
You do me.
Well, my first pull here is the guy who was probably he is a potential Hall of Famer, but it's not for what he did on the playing field. It's for what he's been doing in the broadcast booth for the last 30 some odd years. Because, that's one of the things I'm curious about. The San Francisco Giants have had the same duo nonstop since 1991. And that's where I'm wondering, does the rest of the country get exposed to that? I mean, I grew up in Northern California, so I know them well. And that was this guy who wore number 39 of Mike Krukow, working alongside then Dwayne Kuiper as the Giants broadcasters. Does the rest of the country get any awareness of them or not? I don't know.
I did not know that. I did not know that. And matter of fact, a couple guys I'm going to talk about might be announcers as well. But so wow, they've been together since 91, huh?
Yes, they both had their careers finish up in the Giants in the 80s, and then were like sort of guest commentators for a bit. I think Kuiper got started sooner, but then they became the regular guys because they did so well and people liked them. And they've been together ever since 1991. So as far as Mike Krukow, he was a starting pitcher. Like many of the folks mentioned previously, average, a few above average seasons. He had one season where he actually did get Cy Young votes. He was finished third when he was 34 years old because he had a record of 20-9 with a 3.05 ERA in 1986, but wasn't quite good enough to win it because you had guy like Fernando Valenzuela beat him at number 2, and Mike Scott, who had a short, really high peak there for the Astros, beat him in the voting that year. Yeah, so what is it? Like 14 seasons, final record 124 and 117 with a 3.9 ERA, which in that era of the 80s, with no DH, that's kind of like an average to slightly above average starting pitcher stats. So, yeah, that's my first pick here is Mike Krukow.
So that's your number 3 pick, huh? Number 3
No,
pick?
that's my honorable mention.
Okay.
So I do have a couple honorable mentions before I get to my top 3.
Okay.
My second one is another starting pitcher. And I have a question to ask you, Chris. At its deepest basis level, what is the number one job for any pitcher to accomplish? What would you
to get a win?
No, even simpler than that. With each pitch, what's their goal?
To throw a strike, or to get.
There you go.
Not to throw a strike, to get a strike.
To get a strike, well, at least to throw one, because the guy I've got has one of the lowest walk ratios in the history of baseball, who wore number 39. And the 3 guys that are on the list below him, I saw stats on this from 1950 to now. He is number 4 on that list, and the 3 guys below him have less innings pitched than he does. So, and that is Mr. Bob Tewksbury. Prime years with the Cardinals. He was a Cy Young candidate one season. I think it was 90. Was it 94? Is that when I was? No, 92. And, who was dominating Cy Young awards in 1992 there?
So I actually got to, I got to meet Bob Tewksbury. I got to have not just meet Bob Tewksbury. We shared a drink or two, and he threw hard enough to maybe want to put on a glove, but I swear he could. When he pitched, he not only did he throw strikes, but he threw quick. He got the ball and threw. And so when you were playing behind Bob Tewksbury on defense, you had to be ready, because it wasn't about him on the mound. He got the ball and threw strikes, and those games were quick. And
so he loved the current pitch clock. Then that would be just fine.
He could have shortened that pitch clock. People tried to get out of the box and change fix their batting gloves just to try to slow him down. But that's a good pick. I would not have thought. It does
seem like it is a common theme to me of earlier generation guys, where if they were operated fast, they usually had better control. So why didn't most of them do it that way?
Pitchers are flakes.
I guess so.
They think it's all about them. They catch the ball and want to walk around. Matter of fact, it's funny. We'll talk about flakes here in a little bit.
But the key stat, I mean, he lost, of course, his Cy Young Award in 92 to Mr. Maddox, who dominated the first 4 years of the 90s with Cy Youngs there. And he finished that season 233 innings pitched. Any guesses on how many walks he had in 233 innings, Chris?
Oh, gosh. Well, it's going to be low then that you say that. I say 40.
He had 20. And we all think of Greg Maddux as a master of control. That season, winning the Cy Young, he had 70 walks. So, I mean, he did strike out more guys, but still, dang, the guy knew the strike zone. So,
yeah, it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear his name mentioned in one of these. That's really good. That's good.
All right, you want to give us your honorable mentions, Chris?
Okay, sure. Now, just 39. I wrote a couple of them down. Lynn Barker. I just remember him pitching a perfect game, and I talked about Morgana, the kissing bandit, came out and gave him a kiss one time. So he made my list. Roberto Hernandez was a really good reliever that made my list. Joe Nuxall, you were talking about announcers. He was the youngest player to ever play in a Major League Baseball game, I believe, still at 16 years old.
Yep.
Great announcer. But my honorable mention, if it was baseball stats only, this show is Who Wore It Better, and I couldn't keep one of the guys off of there, off of my top three. But as far as baseball, if I gave out an honorable mention, this guy should be. This guy's a better pitcher than the one I picked, and that is Bob Veal. Bob Veal was a strike. He was a flamethrower like you wouldn't believe, but he was nothing like Bob Tewksbury. Matter of fact, Bob Veal led the league in walks 4 different times, and he only led the league in strikeouts once. But Bob Veal was a 2-time All-Star with a 3.07 ERA, and he was on some really good Pirates teams as well. So my honorable mention is Bob Veal.
All right. Well, I did have a couple comments on your picks there. As far as Len Barker goes, literally what you said is my only recollection of him at all. I knew he had a perfect game, and I knew Morgana, who, admittedly, she was getting up in age by the time I was a baseball fan. So it wasn't exactly my cup of tea at that point. Yeah. So, and then the research department did whistle in my ear of one correction. Joe Nuxall was actually only 15 years old and 10 months when he made his debut in 1944. So,
yeah, I don't know if that was a gimmick or what, but it was during the war.
It was a bit of a gimmick.
Yeah, but because he didn't make it back to the major leagues for a while, but after that, but he knew he was destined to play. But he was a great announcer for the Reds for a long time as well.
All right. So we are on to our top 3. And I think the biggest mystery here, for both of us, is number 3. Honestly, I think 1 and 2 are kind of locked in on this number. So
I think so too.
So you first, me first. How do we want to do this here?
You go first. And I'll clean up anything that you mess up.
All right. Purely off of, once again, Prime. Even though it was the briefest of primes here, I pulled number 3 of, when you think great all-time left fielders, what kind of team comes to mind there, Chris?
Boston Red Sox to me.
Yep. And, we went from Ted Williams to Carl Yastrzemski, Jim Rice. This guy was supposed to be the next one of those guys, and the era when I was collecting cards. So not only do I have a card, I have a couple of binder sheets I pulled out because I've not done anything with resorting my old cards that are just in binders. So, I have still multiple binders of where it's just star players because I was supposed to be able to retire on those cards, right?
Right.
I was preserving those things in my 9-pocket sleeves because these 2 pages were going to be worth a fortune because Mike Greenwell was destined to be in the Hall of Fame still when I stopped collecting in 91. So, so here we go. Mike Greenwell. Look at those top flight stuff. I don't even have the rookie card here of 87 tops, but there is some big value here, isn't there? So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
mostly 89 and 90 cards, a little bit of 88. So
He was, I mean, he was everybody thought he was a shoe-in to be an all-star and a Hall of Famer and
well,
yeah,
he
no.
burst onto the scene at 24 years old in 1988. He was the runner-up to MVP of Jose Canseco in Mr. 40-40 season. And so, even then years later, when Jose is revealed to be a Reuter, an admitted Reuter, then Greenwell came out in the media of like, oh, so where's my MVP then? So,
uh-huh.
but
he was, well, I mean, I think he's still kind of a fan favorite in Boston area. People still talk of him. They don't talk of him
like
he
really declined. It's just he had so many nagging injuries that he just eventually gave up on it. So, I mean, his last season, he still hit over 300. It's just he only played less than half of the season. And yeah, he had a prime of about 4 seasons where he got full seasons in before his just injuries tore him up year after year after year. So,
yeah. It's one of those cases of what could have been, with him. And and just some more at that time, some Boston Red Sox bad luck, just like
because he had it as far as talent with hitting. I mean, he never, really declined even when he came back from injury as far as still maintaining a great batting average for the most part. So, yeah, it's all just actually being able to stay on the field. One of the cases where the most important ability is availability.
Availability, sure. Well, my number 3 pick probably doesn't deserve to be number 3 on this list, except the show's called Who Wore It Better. And Bob Ville definitely was a better pitcher than this guy, but this guy was an effective pitcher. But he probably has an argument that he could be number 1 on my list because he really wore it better. Because when I say his name and stuff, it's going to be either bring a smile to your face on something you saw live, or you're going to Google it and say, okay, that guy owns number 39. And so I'm talking about this pitcher was intimidating. All 5'9" of him, if he's really 5'9". And he's a relief pitcher, and it is none other than Al, the Mad Hungarian Hrabosky. Now, I thought people will look back and try to tell me that he was a great relief pitcher. He was an effective relief pitcher. He was,
yeah.
But his persona was 7 inches taller than he was, right? And his WAR was only 10.3. He never made an all-star team, I don't think. He was 3rd in the Cy Young one year. His overall record was 64-35, and he had a low ERA.
3.1.
Yeah, and you know what? Why I think he wore it better is some of his highlight reels on TV, getting in a fight with basically the umpire. He got in a fight with a reporter. He just always had a little growl on his face, and people will remember these young guys. I hope there's a young guy watching that show that will Google him, because he'd get himself psyched up. He'd catch the ball from getting ready to face a batter, and he'd get behind the mound and he'd rub the ball as he's looking into it, and then he would just throw it into his glove and then turn around and get on the mound and then throw the ball. And it just kind of cracks me up because, he'd throw it wasn't like he was Nolan Ryan and could throw that thing 100 miles an hour, but he also wasn't afraid to hit somebody. And just the fact that he had this Fu Manchu and just got through, if I was the batter and saw that for the first time, I'd like, dude, wait a second. I didn't do anything to you. Whatever you're mad at, it shouldn't be me. And, what I liked about him also is I got to meet him. He works for a company here in Missouri or did, and he'd set up the same home show that I set up with. And he looked scary. I mean, even people getting his autograph was like, like scared to get his autograph. And at that time, he's probably 50 years old. And I finally, it was slow time and it was winding down. And I went up to his table. He didn't even look up. He just started signing something. I said, no, I don't need your autograph. I have a question for you. Can you settle a bet? And he said, what is it? Something like that. And I said, did you ever hit a professional home run? And you would have think asking him that question, that one single question right there, his whole demeanor changed. He goes, oh, I did, but you're not going to believe it. And then he started telling this story about in minor league baseball, he talked the manager into letting him pinch hit. He got a hit in back-to-back home runs, he and another pitcher. But anyway, as far as who wore the uniform better and wore that number 39, I'm going with the Mad Hungarian, Al Hrabosky. How about you?
He was an enjoyable character. I mean, it's almost like he was a cartoon character, honestly, on the field. I mean, I could totally envision him being drawn up where his eyes are glowing red and steam is coming off his head with everything he did. I mean, he was just like fire and fury.
Yeah.
And that was his every game. I mean, how do you keep up that just like anger?
How I heard him described one time, he was like a WWE wrestler. His personality was over the top, right? And
yes, completely.
I think that's a good description of him.
All right, that's a good pick. I did notice his batting stats in the majors was 1 triple and then just a handful of singles with a 143 batting average and 56 at bats. So
yeah, you and he got the same amount of home runs in Major League Baseball, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're into the obvious choices.
Oh, hang on. I need to show my.
Oh, there you go.
Al Hrabosky. I don't want to, it's 1976 card, and it's funny. He's wearing a batting helmet, right?
Yeah.
So Al Hrabosky
with his Fu Manchu mustache there. So, number 2 pick was pretty easy. Recently elected Hall of Fame member. This guy, it's he was kind of a what if case where that white powder that derailed many a sports career in the 80s almost took him out completely. But he was able to recover and come back and have some very productive seasons. But I mean, at his peak, that was slightly before my time. I mean, he was probably the best all-around player there at the late 70s for 2 or 3 seasons there before, cocaine unfortunately eroded him a bit. So, amazing gun from right field. There's that one highlight of him. Was that an all-star game or something where he just threw a rope to home plate? And he's also one of those guys that was like huge yet still crazy athletic. I mean, like I can just envision him being an insane like defensive end outside linebacker playing football with his size, strength, and speed for that time period. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, he took that all to the baseball field, and he didn't have a massive home run totals because he was really had a line drive type of stroke to his swing. So, but yeah, he definitely hit it hard all over the ballpark. But yeah, so there's my representative there, 1981 tops of Dave Parker with the awesome pillbox cap on those.
Love it.
So
Love it.
You got some extra thoughts on Mr. Parker there?
Well, I too have him down as my number two of who wore it better, and just again some of the same things that you witnessed. That throw he made to Gary Carter. He made two big throws in that All-Star game to get players out, and he was going to get MVP anyway until with his defense. But man, he had 2,700 hits. He was a doubles machine, and Johnny Bench described him. One of the scariest things in the world was if somebody got a single while he was on second base on the AstroTurf, and you're a catcher taking a throw from an outfielder when he's like a train chugging around, because if you'd see the TV replays and show him how sometimes he'd make that turnaround third base pretty wide, and then just like a train coming home. Johnny Bench said that's just as scary as he could get. But he had 1,500 RBI almost, and he batted 290 career lifetime. His 7-time All-Star, won the Golden Glove 3 times, won the Silver Slugger. At one time, he definitely was the best player in baseball. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so sometimes when people talk about WAR and use that as a stat, the best stat you can use, Dave Parker, sometimes you do have to use the eye test, and he passes the eye test. What an intimidating athlete. I think well-deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to show his 1974 rookie card right here.
You and the rookie cards. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll see the light sometime, John. You'll see the light.
I just remembered another card that he's on that I love, especially because it makes one guy just seem like he's a kid next to them. And that's this 86 Fleer combo card that has Dale Murphy, Steve Garvey, and then Dave Parker later on the Reds. And yeah, they make Steve Garvey look like he's a little kid next to those two guys. Because you got Murphy at 6'4" and Parker at 6'5", and yeah, what was Garvey, 5'10" maybe?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. The only thing Garvey, his forearms might have been bigger than theirs, but other than that,
he did have those Popeye forearms. But I feel like he's one of those guys. Since he played first base, they probably lied and made him taller when they put his height out there on a roster.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you would take that picture and say which one's the first baseman, nobody would have picked Garvey, right?
Exactly. All right.
That gets us up to number 1.
Yeah, do you want to kick this one off this time, Chris?
Okay, sure. Since I believe we're both agreeing on this, I believe our number 1 pick is Roy Campanella, and of who wore it better, Roy Campanella wore it better. Well deserved. His career was shortened a little bit on the back end by the car wreck, even though his career was kind of going down a little.
He was in decline at that point.
Yeah, and then he didn't get started very early because, one, the war, people kind of forget about Roy Campanella in World War II. And he was in the Negro Leagues playing, but he wasn't like the star for a couple of years. Not like he'd been in the Negro Leagues being the best player in the Negro Leagues for 10 years or anything, but he did get a late start to his major league career. But what a major league career, right? In 10 years, in 10 years, he got a WAR of 41.8. And then, 260 home runs. That's amazing with that short a career. Had over 1,000 RBI and batted 283, 11-time All-Star, batting title, and to me, I used to argue with my dad because most people, not everybody, but if you ask a lot of vintage baseball card guys, is the greatest catcher of all time. The biggest consensus would probably be Johnny Bench. And my dad used to argue with me all the time, telling me that no, Roy Campanella was. And he would end that argument by saying, Roy Campanella played 10 years, and 30% of the time that he played in Major League Baseball, he was the most valuable player. And it was like, I don't know what to say next. And then, call my dad and name and walk off. But anyway, Roy Campanella is my number one. Why don't you say something sweet about him?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
let me show a card here. I'm going to show this rookie card before you mess it up with a non-rookie card.
You mean before I show an actual good-looking card as opposed to that one that looks like a employee photo badge there? So,
yeah.
I mean, look at the blank look on his face, like he didn't even know the picture was going to happen. So, and then now this is a card. So
that is a beautiful card.
51 Bowman with this classic photo, turned into artwork.
To me, that's his best card right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the most iconic photo taken of him that by far. So that they turned into a artwork on a baseball card. So yeah. And yeah, I mean, it is tough to argue as far as, 3 MVPs in such a short amount of time. And in one of those cases where the catcher position of who is greatest of, at least the folks we get to see, apologies to Josh Gibson, who never got a chance, but the fact that he lost prime years, between World War II and then not even, having to wait till after Jackie, he lost the front half of his prime and then also lost the back end getting the injury. So he got severely decreased stats and shortened career. And, even in that conversation, I know we haven't gotten to his number yet because it's a long ways out, but, Johnny Bench has a little what if going on with the fact that he had that surgery on himself that took away his absolute peak. So that's where, all apologies to Yogi Berra fans. I don't think his peak matches either of these guys. So, Yogi got the chance to have a full length, healthy career, and the other two guys didn't. But so, I mean, whoever believes Yogi's the greatest, that great career. But, as far as achieving the absolute peak performance, it is an argument between Campanella and Bench, I think. So,
yeah, I like that. Yogi's got to be in the conversation, but his is the Bill Russell of basketball arguments to me. He's got you can't take those World Series you can't take those rings away from him, right? So
yeah, I mean, the key guy on the most championships, but does that necessarily make him the best at his position?
We'll find out when it gets down to him and Bench, right?
Sure. But yeah, this was a no-brainer. I mean, you saw we had to scrape around to get our other 3 choices, but 2 and 1 were completely locked in from the moment you look at this number. So I haven't even gotten a chance to even peek at 38 yet. Have you?
I have not. Now I know one of them just by you just saying 38, but no, I haven't peeked at them yet.
So yeah, I think we said our piece here on this one. So uh,
We did a better job on this one. We're getting better. By the time we get to single digits, we might be good at this.
once we get into some of these other numbers that have multiple really high level guys, maybe we'll get some guests in there that are fans of those guys in here and shake it up a little more. So
Sure.
but I think we're about done, don't you think, with this one?
I think so. So let me end it this time.
Okay.
So the number 39 on who wore it better, I think we got this one right. Even my friend John over there got this one right. And guys, remember, this is just a hobby. Collect what you like.